Hey guys, TechAgent, we're back with more vintage headphones. Today we have another Akg. This is the Akg K301. I've done a lot of videos on the vintage Akgs like the K400, the K501, the K240 and stuff. This one is pretty interesting because this is the baseline of the K501 series, the K400, K501, K401, those kind of headphones. This was the baseline and the starting point in that line, the K301. It shares a lot of design cues with the K601, the K501 and stuff. But it doesn't sound anywhere as close as to compared to those headphones. This headphone is pretty interesting because this doesn't sound like any Akg out there. It sounds very different from what you would expect in that line. This is not in the K240 line. Even the K240 I think is a much more higher end headphone compared to the K301. So the K301 I think is the lowest end Akg ever produced. There were two versions of the K301. This was the first one. This was launched in 1996 as the K301, the revision 1, or just the model number 1. There was a second model called the K301 Extra, which looks quite different from this headphone, and it was not it was just a completely separate headphone altogether. It was not connected to the K401, K501 and that line. This was only this first revision was connected to that line. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have completely fucked up in modding this headphone. What the hell is this? I have no idea. And I've painted this guy for some reason. This is the headphone I completely screwed up in modding, and it's fine because the headphone just sucks. So there's going to be a history overview as well as just very brief talk on the sound of this headphone because it just sounds so bad. I just had to talk about it. If you look at the drivers, they don't look that bad. They look actually very similar to something like a K240 or even like a K401 or a K400. I mean, it looks very similar to those kind of headphones, but the magnet assembly is completely different. But the overall diaphragm and stuff remains very identical. It has that overall look to it. So you might not expect it to sound that bad just by looking at the driver, but it sounds absolutely horrible. There's no bass. Okay, don't expect any extension out of this headphone. The mid-range is it's there, it's elevated, but it's obviously not flat, it's not neutral, it doesn't sound like a natural headphone. And the highs, although are not rolled off, there is a lot of accentuation in the lower treble, and it is overall a very thin presentation from this headphone. I wouldn't use this headphone for music and stuff, but it is a good headphone for if you just want use a headphone for TV shows and stuff. That's the only thing I think that would make this headphone useful. Otherwise this headphone has no use in my life. The headband strap, the elastics on this headphone, it's pretty interesting. I don't know if you can see this, but this guy just pops out like that. You can see my absolutely horrible modding job, and here is the elastic. It's suspended quite differently than a Akg K401, K400 and stuff. So the overall design is a bit different than those headphones in terms of how you disassemble the capsule, but overall the overall elastic assembly remains the same. So really don't expect much from this headphone. This is the baseline in that series. It doesn't sound as good as a K400, obviously not as good as a K501, K400 and stuff. It's just very different sounding headphone. I don't know how different the Akg K301 Extra sounds, but it just doesn't look as nice as the that looks like a very cheap headphone. Even this is but it does not look like a cheap headphone because the design is very similar to a K400, K501 that you might think, okay, this shouldn't be that bad, but it's just not that good. I also tried different ear pads. This is the K240 pads. I also had the stock pads before that. The stock K301 pads, those sucked because they the leather completely rotted away. And I also tried the HM5 angle pads for a while, which increased the comfort significantly, but I just didn't think this headphone warranted such high quality pads, because I probably never going to listen to this headphone ever in my life. So overall the K301 is not the greatest headphone. I think. In the not the greatest AKG headphone. The only headphone this thing reminds me of is something like the K241. The K241 sounds, very similar to this, although even the K241 has overall just better extension all around. It's just a better sounding headphone, better, higher fidelity headphone. So it's hard to compare this headphone to different AKGs because it just sounds so different, sounds so generic. That there's nothing special about it. So K301 1996. The baseline in the K400, K501, K400, so the K500 and the K501 or K501 line. It's very cheap. You can find these for like 10 euros, in the used market. I paid around 20 euros for mine, so shipped. That is really not a lot of money if you think about it. So overall, K301, pretty bad headphone. I really have nothing to say about this headphone. So one more thing, the headband is not fake leather. It's actually genuine leather, which is surprising for the price of this headphone. It's very similar to the K702. It's a bonded leather, so that's pretty fascinating. The design is very funky. I haven't done this. This is the stock design. I don't know why they have this stupid ass design, but it is what it is. So K301, don't like it. Probably will never listen to it. That's it. We'll see you guys next time with more vintage headphones. All right, take it easy, and like always, have a good one.